Yeah, we're good. Okay, good evening, everybody. It is March 10, 2022. This is our regular March Planning Commission meeting for the Township of Smithfield. All right, looks like, Ron, we have everybody except Michael Albert here today. You got everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, minutes to review. Let's take a look at the February 10 minutes. Okay.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
I will second that. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Plans to act upon, or any public comments on the agenda? Okay. New business and plans to act on. The plans that we have are really unfinished business, so that's all right. Let's take a first step. Sir, I forget your name. I'm Steve.
Steve Huddle.
Steve Huddle. You were here on the Franklin Hill Manor one.
Correct. All
right. So, you know what? I'd like to take 6B first. The major subdivision lands of Franklin Hill Manor. We had at the last meeting, I'll call it a spirited discussion over the road. And they did, let me look back in February here. This was tabled, and they did request an extension until May 19th, 2022. John, anybody get in touch with you on this?
No, I've heard nothing in the last month.
Okay, you heard nothing in the last month. Steve, you heard anything in the last month on this?
No.
Okay. They haven't been around, they haven't been anything. All right, well, we have it they have their extension until May, so we may as well table this then to the April meeting? That sound like?
Make a motion, we table it to the April meeting.
Okay. All right, motion to table Franklin Hill Manor by David Strunk. I'll second that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll see if they show up in April.
See you next month.
See you next month.
Take care, guys.
Take care, Joe.
It's nice to meet you.
All right, Eagle Valley self-storage units. Official action expires April 7th. I don't think we have another meeting until
14th is our meeting.
I was gonna say, our meeting's after that. All right, weren't there a pile of technical comments and such?
There was a pile of technical comments, and I've been told that they want to revise their plan. They're not going to increase the impervious surface. They want to eliminate, they presently have 3 storage units proposed. They want to eliminate one and just go to 2. The second one will be bigger. I think it's going to be a climate-controlled building. There's a reason why they're doing it.
Oh, so they're gonna actually make change.
So
that's a fairly big change.
They're gonna argue that it isn't because it all takes place within that paved impervious area. But my understanding is that's what's going on right now, and it hasn't been resubmitted.
Might as well.
Right. But I haven't received anything yet.
But he didn't get anything in on that. All right.
You also know, Mr. Chair, that I've received a call from Bill Kramer mid-February or so, saying that he was contacted by them and he would be representing them, and he asked me for a copy of John's last review letter of February 9, or February 8,
Okay.
which I sent to him. I haven't heard from him since, but, he sort of told me the same thing, that they contacted him because they make some changes or do something like that, so.
All right.
So if the official action expires on April 7th, then what are our options?
I know, I was just gonna ask Ron that, as a matter of fact, exactly that.
If they file a new plan before April 7th, then the 90-day ticker will run again from the new plan, because it's a new plan, the 90 days runs again. But if they don't file anything by April 7th, and no action has been taken, so then we could have a problem, the township, so you might
Why
want
would
to.
we have a problem if they haven't submitted properly?
Because the township has to act within 90 days.
Okay, so then we need to we need to send a recommendation.
My recommendation to you would be to recommend that the plan be denied based upon the township engineer review letter of February 8th.
Yeah, that's what
Unless the applicant either files a revised plan or enters into a further extension of time.
I'll make.
well, I think, yeah, that's how, I think we could easily put that in there, that second.
You want me to repeat it for you?
Write that down.
Sounds beautiful the way it was just said.
Or not, if you wanna add the tail, I see the chair saying, maybe we shouldn't just add the tail and just recommend that it be denied based upon the township engineer review letter, and not put in the tail about whether
Yeah.
you extend or if you give us an extension.
Because they can always ask for that, no matter what.
Yes, they
They
can.
could ask, even if so, they could ask for it, they could submit their revised drawings, and it gets reviewed again.
Sometimes I'll put that in when I know the applicant maybe is not that skilled, but if they have Bill
But they're
Craig,
hiring a lawyer
now, yeah.
I think they know I think he knows which way to run
So
the
does
ball, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, let's leave it without that second sentence.
Okay.
That's what I,
So motioned.
Second.
seconded by Doug.
Oops. Wow, what happened there?
Any other discussion?
lost it. Like your motion.
I do have one quick here in discussion. So, they're thinking, it sounds like, of moving buildings around within the impervious surface of the old plan.
How do I get it back? No, stay there.
Does that require a new
Generally, or down.
site plan review?
Well, I think if John says that a significant change, I think they gotta go through planning again. If John says it's not a significant change, I don't think they need to go through
It's a little
planning.
better.
Site plan might still obviously need to be refiled, but
Okay.
whether it needs to be gone through the whole Monroe County review, planning commission review here, et cetera, that would be depending on.
Well, that sounds, okay, so there's a halfway point there, and that there'd be a new site plan review.
There's a new site plan that has to be submitted, but, I mean, it hasn't made its way out of this
Out of this body yet.
body yet, because you're still taking action on it. So they're gonna have to come back in front of you
Okay.
with the new plan.
With the new plan, okay, that's all I was concerned, yeah, okay. All right, any other discussion? Bob, anybody? Heard you draw a breath?
No, I'm good.
You good?
And let me just note here, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, that the discussion was that they're thinking of eliminating a building and putting a temperature-controlled building or
But
something.
that shouldn't be in the meeting notice.
No.
No, you don't want that to be.
Let's say there, you can simply put in there, I would think that there's,
Just that we made the motion.
that we've made the motion,
Make the motion
and
and we're
that's
done.
it. Yeah.
Don't put a scuttlebutt.
Yeah, I agree,
Okay.
yeah. Anything further from the panel here?
Nope.
All right, so we have it first and seconded, all in favor? Okay. All right, if they don't resubmit anything, it's in your laps, gentlemen. All right. Oh, I feel like I should be fighting with somebody, I don't know.
Go home and talk to your wife.
I go home and talk to my
You'll
wife.
lose, but go ahead.
All right. Now, we did have a couple unfinished things that I've been keeping on the bottom of the, agenda, and I'm gonna continue to do so. Let's first and foremost here, Mitch has been working on the, planning and material courses for the planning commission, in particular for new ones to, come join us here and come on board. And also about attending supervisors' meetings. I logged in the other day. I was on for a few minutes on Wednesday, then I heard that it was that the Shawnee one was off.
Was canceled.
Yeah, that it was canceled, and then because the rest of your meeting was sort of routine kinds of, pay some bills and, kind of general, general sort of business. So I went to look for that one. I know, Mitch, you were watching one.
I've been to the last two.
You've been to the last two.
But I didn't think it was routine to make a motion to fire the two auditors.
That's not what's happening, Mitch, that we're suing the auditors because they failed to complete their duty at a rate of pay. Right. But that's not uncommon when they don't do their job.
Firing was my suggestion, and I still believe.
Yeah, but they're elected officials, you can't fire them. They're elected.
So it is,
We talked about.
You may be annoyed, but you can't fire them.
Can you impeach them?
We can't.
The governor and the Senate would have to.
Yeah, they would literally would have to go that way. Yeah.
They're an elected official, they're not just an
It only
appointed
happens when-
official, so.
Really terrible.
I mean, you would have to be really, yeah.
Who are the auditors?
Vicki Osgood was elected, last year, and then it's Rose Davis and, Audrey Bailey Hocker.
I don't know.
Oh, I remember her.
Why would they run for the office if they're not gonna do their job?
Question.
If you watch the video of that meeting, you'll see a lot about how they operate, unfortunately.
Mitch, you had the materials and courses, you had some websites and such as to how we can sign up for this
Yeah,
and so forth?
I can, as long as that's okay to move it forward, I can,
I would like to, actually. I mean, for me, I personally, the municipal planning code, whatever, but that's a hazard of what I do. But I wouldn't mind seeing what they say on, building, an effective planning commission and so forth. That could be, and certainly a bit of code enforcement as well. Which gets me to the next thing. I think I had mentioned last time, which goes in with that I was having a meeting because I happen to be the solicitor for the Monroe County Tax Claim Bureau. They had a meeting with the Monroe County Land Bank, administrator, Marv Walton. And so we had the meeting. I was really unfamiliar with what it was and what they were planning on doing. They are, they have funds, and they get, tax sales that are coming up. They have a priority ability to bid on these things. We even let them to target certain properties to get them so they can rehab and such. And as it happens to turn out, one of the properties, they're only doing a couple. They only have so much money. But one of the properties happens to be in Stroudsburg, literally next door to good friends of ours, who have been complaining about the house falling down next to them up there on the hill for almost as long as I've known them up there on.
Toward the corner of
No, it's down Scott Street. It's it's in Scott Street. It's not far down from the Williamsons' house and all of them, and over in there. That's the one with the porches rotting, and then the animals keep coming. I mean, they're like, you sit in Sean's backyard with a beer, and we're watching raccoons and stray cats go. But it's half occupied. Oh. But that's really not the thing. What I found out from this, and in addition to the priority bidding and so forth, is they are they're in a contract for it, to buy it from those people, to do it. They have had somebody come in to take a look to see whether or not there's a repairable setup, or because they do have money to put into some of these, and they have guides. But they're not going to look at these properties unless the townships or the municipality has exhausted some enforcement options. And that's really what, in that particular one, that's really what happened. The borough of Stroudsburg's been going after them, and that guy just doesn't give a damn.
David spoke to us.
Yeah. Is our township part of them? Are we?
We anticipate being part of it, but what happened is, for some reason, they decided, because municipal budgets are tight, to pause enrollment in it. But it's crazy, because it's only $1,000.
Yes, how much?
So
I was surprised when he said it.
We're all for it. like a relatively easy and awesome resource. Like we said, we've used their other funding for part of Marshall's Falls already.
Yeah, he had mentioned that. Yeah, okay.
I think he showed us pictures of the house that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a double.
At our meeting.
The one half, when you're facing it, the half on the right's all fallen down, the porch is held up by a couple of 2x6s or 2x8s. It's awful up there.
I'm not sure, did they go to the judicial sale or to the upset sale?
Judicial, coming up. Yeah, because in the judicial sale, you can get the liens and encumbrances that get noticed are divested. And then they can actually bid they can even bid for less than the amount of outstanding tax. And those couple of sales they preclude the general public from bidding upon them. So, yeah, they're actually precluded. So I wanted to just, because I mentioned it last month, and I did have the meeting, I want to bring to the attention here that sounds something that we can avail ourselves of and do a little enforcement on one or two things. Let's see, it may be a way to push it. You're not going to clean up the township, but you're certainly going to make it seem that we're serious.
It's too bad they don't, condemnations too, because talking about Mountain Manor.
Yeah, that's well. Yeah, this was not a condemnation thing, but I wanted to say it as part of one more enforcement, arrow in our quiver. So that's what I wanted to bring up tonight. So Mitch, I would say yes, absolutely. Let's send around some of those things.
I'll detail it out a little
Let's
bit.
detail it out a little bit. I'll ship it around. I'll keep it again on the, we'll keep it on the agenda again for next week. I mean, we've all been on here for quite some time. As I said, it's not a bad thing, and Chris is brand new. It wouldn't be a bad thing to watch see a seminar or two and.
Well, I was thinking if any of them are really something we should look at group, maybe we could use our work session occasionally and come in and do it as a group.
Yeah, or any time that, would work for y'all, we could clean this available for it.
Yes, let's do that, Mitch.
I attended the one above that one that you're talking about, building a strong planning.
Yeah.
And I think I sent around all the PowerPoint slides.
Yeah, is that the one you sent around the slides for?
Yeah.
Okay. How was the lecture that went around with it? Lecture was good?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
I thought it was good. Somebody that's new to this whole scenario, it, gave me a lot to think about and got me reading, some of these things I haven't read yet, like the municipal planning code, like the, comprehensive plan, and. Did you ever read that, David?
I've read it in parts, yeah, not the whole thing.
All right.
Are you talking about the planning commission or your slides?
Comprehensive plan.
I
From
have
2000 and.
That's when
Right up to date.
When I was not nearly as gray, yeah, right.
Live.
All right.
But, so what, Bob made a good, motion to do this on work sessions, I think that's the best way to do it, because then we can discuss things when we're done, but we've got to allocate the time. I'm guessing these are gonna be an hour or two long, right?
I don't even know yet. How long are they, Brady?
Talking about these so-called, presentations?
Yeah.
Webinars.
It's sort of webinars, yeah.
Are they in the form of webinar now? Are they all been?
What I attended was live.
It was live.
Oh, you attended a live one, okay.
Yeah, the zoning one that Robert and I and Ken went to a number of years ago was here. It's also valuable, by the way.
Was that in Middle Smithfield?
Yeah, and it was 3 sessions, I recall. And it was good. And I recommend it to anyone who wants. Once you get the gist of it, once you understand the ins and outs, the ups and downs.
Well, I can safely say, before I did this, I was not aware of the difference between the zoning and the subdivision and land development aspects that sometimes get mushed together here for us in the same sets of reviews and so forth. I mean, we learned sort of ad hoc, but I don't think that would be, I don't think that would be a bad
Yeah, that's why the other one I want.
thing to see.
Right. If I were to improve my understanding, I took the zoning one, I think I would take the course in subdivision and land development review.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think therein you probably get, and I think we all of us get it. 'Cause these guys that do these things are well versed, I believe. And I think the zoning, have you been to that one? Saldo one?
I handed them online with PCAS, probably not the one that you guys went to, but I've been to.
No, we just went to the zoning ones, three, like I say, 3 nights, 3
Yeah.
sessions.
I've gone to a couple trainings in person with PCAS that covers a lot of that stuff, and then also just, some online.
Yeah. I'd love it if it was online, you know, that'd be.
Sounds like you got a lot of good feedback on this, Mitch. Let's do a couple.
So let's find out how many of these.
Let's find out what we can
How many
do.
of these are in webinar form, in other words?
Yeah, which are live and
online?
which are
It
webinar.
can be live, but I also
Online.
think there are
Yeah.
topics that are not directly related that could be of interest. Happened to, the 23rd, there was a big conference in Harrisburg on transportation. Not directly related, but it kind of is like the thing that feeds into what the future is, what our zoning should, what put on here is fair game, I think, for somebody either going or going to the webinar, be informed.
Well, that's why last meeting I brought up about the train. I know they've been talking about it for 40 years, but if it ever does take off, there could be more people moving into the area. Possible. I don't know how it shakes out.
That's another topic. You heard my view of it. I don't think it's really been explored except from the politician's point of view. The train is coming back finally. My feeling is no ridership. Not gonna happen.
I've never heard that viewpoint, but it has a lot of validity because.
Yeah, not for a train.
You know, who's gonna wanna take a 2.5-hour train ride where you can drive a car in an hour and a half?
Go visit the bus station sometime, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Not as many of those, but either.
But anyway, I think anything that's related to, what we do and how we plan and how we look for the future, something that anyone on the planning commission is interested in, themselves.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna come from us anyway.
Plus, we need to set the ordinances up so we're building the town the way we want it.
Yes.
We're trying to do that, but it's nice to have a little view into the future so we can plan.
So let's say an informed planning commission. If this is an informed planning commission, it would probably be one of the few in Monroe County that is.
Okay. Yeah, one other thing that I don't see here, but we resolved that time with you, Jacob, that we would have Julia or Lois send a ahead of time note as to when the board of supervisors was meeting.
Sure.
And the next meeting was, and I think I got a notice the other day, which is good. But along with that, of course, the Zoom invitation, the Zoom connection would be helpful, like Julia has done in the past. So if it's a matter of routine, whenever there's a decision by the board to hold a meeting, whether it be a Wednesday evening or an afternoon work session or whatever it is, let us know. So that we would then, and they're all on Zoom,
Oh, yeah,
right? So they're all available.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would be great.
Agenda's available in advance.
Oh, yeah, that's required.
Okay, so that would be great if we each got that notification. Okay.
That would be great.
I thought it would actually be very difficult to observe and participate from a Zoom point of view. But actually, because of the system you have, it must be very good, the sound and all of that.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
It wasn't 2 years ago. This is not better. They bought some equipment.
It was better than being here in person with a mask on.
Where are you gonna buy a board?
Did your face show up?
No, well, I kept my video off.
Yeah, see, that's me too, so it's just your
I
name
haven't been
up there,
able to be in person COVID, but they have a really nice, TV system, so no one's gotta break their neck to see anything on there, but it'll allow for
Right.
view.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we're gonna do, and then also getting better mics. So if you think the sound is good now, that's great, because we're gonna have
Yeah.
individual mics.
Yeah.
Sorry, be able to see the other side, who's out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, just see the monitor, yeah.
Right, I examined the system in Delaware Water Gap, it's more rigged than ours is, but, they had this camera a lot like the ones from ESU, where like sometimes, if a kid is exposed to COVID, they gotta be, they can't come to class. So they zoom them in, so they can be part of the discussion still over the loudspeaker, but also, if someone else in the class talks, the camera, it's a wide angle, so it can
Oh,
focus
is
on.
that cool or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kinda cool, except for like every once in a while, they can be sensitive, if someone whispered in Delaware Water Gap meeting, it went right on their face.
Watch what you say, plus it's all being recorded.
So this is a good start, yes?
I think it's a great start.
Also, since we have time, update us on Smithfield Gateway.
I'd love to know that.
How's it going?
I think the most important thing there is if you go by, the pad for St. Luke's needs to be ready to build that, right?
Yeah, we anticipate them, getting their building permit for the St. Luke's building in the next week or so. They have to just cut us some checks to, cover escrow, and other than that, they're all set for that, and I'm led to believe that, road construction is supposed to start in April, though no detours are gonna start immediately, so as soon as we have the maps for that, that's gonna go, everywhere in our newsletter and online and whatnot.
Shit show.
But they seem to be having, quite a few, more bites and interest in leases and whatnot. I know, that they're getting more plans ready to submit to us.
The St. Luke's is 40,000 square feet?
Yeah, so 20,000 square foot footprint,
Okay.
and then I think they're also building a pad for 9,000 square foot, which I think they're going to,
Could be the Dunkin'
Also,
Donuts.
that bakery opened with the landmark is, the Artisan Bakery.
Very good.
Delicious.
It is? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Really?
The bread is amazing.
It is delicious. It's a
It's a Polish family, or
bakery. It's delicious.
It says deli, but they don't really have sandwiches or anything like that.
I think there's.
This is the old.
They just sell,
landmark,
yeah, they
the
sell
old
their
landmark.
food, oh, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
the
it's
original
supposed to be an
landmark.
artesian
But now that
bakery.
the previous old landmark has,
Yeah.
another, I haven't tried that. I didn't get to try the one that was
Uh,
there.
the previous one was the truck stop, and it was a joke, in my opinion. Now this is called the Blue Diner,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
just thought
all burgers and cheesesteaks, and there's no diner food. It's all
I just saw it when I
burgers
drove.
and fries.
It looks like they were setting up a deli though in that bakery, and all the glassed-in coolers were empty basically.
Oh, okay,
So it
maybe
looks
they
like
are.
they're still adding
Is
to.
the Blue Diner's right near there?
Yeah, it's in the Days Inn. It's in the restaurant area that Days Inn.
The Days Inn across from the old
Where,
landmark.
the old Mexican place?
Yeah, it's in the old Mexican place.
Yeah, you went to one of the last events there ever. At a Blue Tequila or whatever.
I won't say that
Blue
there.
Parrot or whatever?
Then there was something else
You
after
went to
that,
an
right?
event for Rose
Waffle
before.
House or something?
The Blue Onion, that's a whole different place, that's it.
I gave her money.
Yeah.
There is something about, with the Polish bakery, there's something about Polish confections, it's a different sweetness that is different than other sorts of pastries. Personally, I love it, it's
I think it's.
a favorite of mine.
That Polish deli down there?
They're,
I don't think.
my neighbor is Polish, and we get, lots of cakes and things, they're wonderful.
Yeah?
They are, but it's different, there's a different sweetness.
Oh, yeah, I think it's less sweet.
Yeah, it's different, and it's really
I
spectacular.
had the sourdough bread, it was so good.
So did Dan Booth
I
and
couldn't
Yvonne
eat the
Booth.
whole loaf, I had to freeze them.
Yeah.
Check it
And the
out.
rye is really good. And they have baguette too, at least when I was there.
Oh, all right.
Rod, you getting all this in the minutes?
All right.
Yeah.
I would. All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Wait.
You guys are chomping at the bit to go home.
What else, what do we know about the airport?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, the
You're right.
closed. Yeah.
We know that they closed the airstrip, right?
There's still a plane over there, so he's gonna have to get out somehow.
Wait, this is the new owner.
Correct, but there are big X's all across the runway,
Right.
where we FAA'd it.
So they did go through all that.
Is it Steve Summer who?
That's kind of sad.
I think it was premature, they could have had, extend the lease of the,
Three D printing.
dumpster there. But the other thing is, I seem to believe that, building is right around the corner. You've yet to see plans submitted. They have yet to go to the conservation district, which I think is gonna be major.
That is a major issue.
Yeah. It'll take years.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've talked to a number of people that,
There was,
like Robert said,
wait, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say that, you know, the conversations we've had, including from like WNEP showed up, they didn't even call, they showed up and they were like, we talked to you about this new plan you're doing, and I was like, well, we're not doing it. So, they haven't come in with anything but a sketch plan since October.
And the sketch plan had a resort
That's what I was gonna say.
and a condo.
Wasn't there a hiccup?
It is zoning.
They had a bunch of, I shouldn't say a bunch.
No,
but
we had a zoning.
They had a couple of uses in there that weren't even permitted in that zoning district.
Right.
Like, they didn't have,
Is there anything we would need to do to not have residential in that? Because that's gonna be a problem.
Industrial.
I know, but
Can I-
wasn't there something?
Yeah, that's one of the uses that they had proposed.
Well,
That they
can I-
proposed, but didn't they, I thought they found some sort of.
Yeah, I have something to contribute.
Yeah, go ahead.
The word is from the actual, it's the telephone, the telephone.
Jungle Book.
Yeah, so, our guy, but our informant is the UPS guy down here. He sees everybody, because they all come in and out. And he says what it's gonna be is the printing, the 3D printing plant, and housing samples, i.e.,
Models?
yeah, model houses that are
Concrete forms.
interlocking form modules for the, and they're gonna be several models of that set around the property.
That they wanna rent out.
Well,
That's what they said when they came.
That's what they
Is that what they
said.
said? Yeah,
That's
they're
what
gonna
they
wanna
said when
rent
they
them.
came.
I still think.
Well, once they get warm bodies in them, then, John, they don't conform.
Well, right now, they can't do it. Whether they get permission to do it, either through a variance or
Right.
something from the zoning hearing board, they can't do it.
Because what I
You're
would
talking about
say,
residential?
Yes.
because what I would say is, I have to look back, because even with what you just recommended, we passed with the technical amendment, I still don't think that would even permit it. Now, of course, with their primary use, they, by right, but,
Yeah.
originally, there was talk, like, when they came in before they actually filed the plan, but there's talk of like a whole community, and it was like, well,
Yes.
you don't have the acreage, based on the way you want to subdivide or whatever to make it work. Because, I mean, anything that's in the ED zone is, I believe, by right in the M1 zone. But it doesn't necessarily work the same with residential. I don't think there was any.
That would be the only thing that I would say that I don't wanna be blindsided with.
What if they call it resort?
That's what they were calling it. They were saying they were going to build on the 60 acres, there's a manufacturing thing and this resort type.
Right. Does that fall into?
And
I don't remember.
actual residential
I just
rental.
wondered when you looked at it.
That's what they came in and told us.
It was a pickup with the resort as being a potential use.
In light industrial.
Right, that's what it was, hotel.
And the other question there is,
motel.
what can you build on a slump?
Well, that's always been a problem down there, right?
Yeah. I mean, and there's probably more swamp there than anyone admits to.
Oh,
Yeah.
Frygon had enough trouble getting their road approval. I would think something.
And they weren't really going for anything wildly out of the ordinary that you would, I mean, that was stuff you would expect in an industrial zone. I mean, that was.
and this is 3D, these are gonna be concrete modules? It must weigh, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting.
They're making the printers that create the buildings. It's like, you ever seen the little thing?
Yeah,
the
routers,
liquid out,
yeah.
where they do that with concrete.
I think they're making the forms too, with the model, with the.
That was what I was under the impression.
Yeah, I was under the impression it was a
Maybe there were
3D
two different
printing
presentations.
No, I was under the impression that they make the actual printer.
They do that too.
Yeah.
I think that's where their money's made, but I think that they do have interest, they do have 3D printed homes.
Where are they from, Texas?
Well,
I think
when I met with him,
either I think somewhere upstate New York or
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Oh, I know.
They're
New York.
headquartered in New Jersey, I think, but New York, I think, is where they do a lot of their work.
they were talking about lightweight concrete. Cracking.
Yes.
There.
Can you remember the name of the company?
Black Buffalo.
The thing is, I just wouldn't want to be blindsided with
I
some,
think their website is like blackbuffalo.io because
because it's a European company.
not only, well, no, I think that's just their, actually, they've influenced like South Korea. It's like
Yeah,
a subsidiary of
something.
Hyundai, but I think the domain name is just that because there's a tobacco company called.
Oh. That's it right here.
His name is Michael Woods.
I just don't want to be blindsided with some sort of residential style thing, and, I mean, I'm not, we're going through the mixed use and all the rest of it, but that's one thing that I think would be a problem. We're asking for problems.
Sent myself an
We're
email,
talking about
remember?
environmental, it's different working there versus having.
Yeah.
People that work there, they're gonna have PPE and not just COVID stuff, they're gonna be wearing it.
Well, no, yeah, they're gonna be
Breathing in,
aggregates.
yeah. So that's different than like, having neighbor, like the outside might look awesome, but it
That
could
is at
be,
the airport.
I don't know what might be
That's
emitted.
right next to the runway.
Yeah, the emissions into the air.
Right, 'cause
around
you
it.
don't want that
That's the airport.
to, feel like a.
Oh, there you go. That's last week, last summer when we had all the,
Yeah, that's
torrential rain.
the creek that flows along
Yeah,
the runway.
Yeah, there you go.
I have pictures of ducks swimming around on the airport.
Yeah, there's my dog chasing them
There's
right
your
there.
dog chasing them, there you go.
Yeah, no, they haven't filed anything. So I would anticipate hearing something, as far as I know, though, the Vigon thing's totally dead.
Is it?
Yeah. I guess since the company, Steve's been working with the company, a larger firm, and they, guess they're not interested. Which, I don't know who the parent company is now, but I would guess they probably had sufficient to warrant the expense. I haven't heard anything to that effect, no.
Mhm.
I think it's around $50.
Yeah, that's good work. It's good,
Yeah,
it's good employment.
Yeah.
Smells like I haven't, but anyway. You can't smell it where you live.
All I can say is, the airport every 3 or 4 years has a grand plan of what's going to happen there.
Yeah, right.
Nothing has happened yet.
Hey, by the way, I was talking to the helicopter guy
It looks
down
so
there
inviting.
the other day. Just chatting, I wanna know what he knows. He's the one who also filled out the,
He only gives you the 5,000 foot
and
view.
a couple other guys down there told me that it was gonna be the model homes. Anyway, I told him about the Tom's Tower, right? Where's it gonna be? I said, well, right up there by Vigon, right next to Vigon, it's gonna be 100 feet. Yeah, glad you told me. I wouldn't wanna be flying around not knowing that thing's there, and I said, well, you'll know, 'cause there's gonna be a big strobe on it and so forth, but.
We haven't heard anything about that either, and I have to see, like, I can't remember if it's
Talk about
on the
not
property that's
necessary.
already sold, or if it's,
Yeah.
Another thing, never built there.
Yeah, let's hope not. Anyway, I don't want that probe in my eyes at night.
Could we talk about 7B?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Not done yet. Oh. Oh, yeah, hello.
No one showed up.
Yeah, that's been.
The zoning permit and some sort of report of violations being filed. Did I hear somewhere that there's something about signage? Are there violations filed?
Yeah,
What did I?
we have a signage ordinance passed tonight. Last summer, I can't remember, as you, went to review it, bring it in, because, again, it's a part of zoning where, we need updating, we need to talk about, where we're going with this, ideas of what could be done to both, make it clearer, streamline it, and get rid of things that we can't enforce or we don't enforce it.
I thought there was something with enforcement, though.
Yeah, there was a gentleman with a couple of flags, and I think my ordinance might have been close to the road or something like that, and,
Where?
well, one, his address, I
That's one by my parents?
Well, with the
Is
flag.
that on Gaffney Drive?
did he have a political sign with an obscenity on it? 'Cause that's, to my knowledge, what one of them was. I don't remember
There's two of them on that road, they're great.
name, but this person, you know what, I don't think it's significant, because this person, now that I remember, was toward, the Hempstead by, Eric White's farm, so.
Brings up another question. As of the Supreme Court decision of 2015, versus town of Gilbert, pretty much wiped out any municipal, ordinances that dealt with political signs or religious signs or signs that were self-expression, protected by First Amendment. So, we've got to look at that too as part of all the reform of signage, what we want to do. Rural townships haven't passed this. Most of their signage ordinances are illegal.
Under this new ruling, under Reed, the new ruling.
Yes.
2015.
But this new ruling was 2015.
What's the name of it?
Reed versus town of Gilbert. Go through Monroe County.
R-E-E-D, R-E-I-D.
Monroe County, and look at, township ordinances about political signs, religious signs, especially political, and you can't enforce them. And
Mostly those sorts of core First Amendment ones, once you get beyond time, place, and manner stuff, you're pretty much out of luck.
Reed versus Township of Gilbert.
You were referencing, I thought you heard about, someone allegedly stole signs in Delaware water gap. I mean, it's not artistic,
No.
someone stole signs down there, the ones against the rehab, where someone stole them allegedly. I don't know what the result of the case was, but someone told me that it was brought before MPJ, so. I thought you heard about that, 'cause I was gonna say, I didn't hear about how it ended.
Okay, but the item on the minutes, nothing to do with signs, it has to do with
Enforcement.
the hearing from the enforcement officer, once a month. Well, it occurs to me, we had asked for leave from you guys to see what you see. That is to say, the report that you get at the end of every month, I believe you said this is what it was, every month, you got a report from Ken. And it was Ron made it clear that it can't be violation of privacy or anything like that. It can only be, what how many permits were requested, how many granted, how many violations noted, how many prosecuted, how'd they fare in magistrate.
Well, I'd like to go even further than that. I'd like to see, what, permits were applied for, what's the status of them.
Right, that'd be great.
We just went through this thing with, an engineer who applied for a permit for putting up, a generator power for mobile, mobile. Like, what happened to it? Where did it go? It was sitting there for a month and a half. And what happened? I didn't get the check. Tell anybody? I don't know. Then after finally this was settled, then the question was, well, you issue the permit. You just scan it and send it. No, I can't do that because we laminate them, to put up on the job site.
Yeah.
So, we laminate it, then you have to send it, or she can come in for it. It's like,
All right.
woman is going crazy. Where is it? All I want to know, how difficult can we make this?
So these are the things that you guys, it's interesting because in creating a format, a kind of a protocol for the zoning officer to present at the end of every month to report to his board, the people he reports to report to them
somebody to have someone, hopefully, wherever it's, because being a zoning officer is really a certain thing. Great about putting his badge on and going out, confronting people, which I would never do.
Was he agoraphobic or something?
Written communication is not his forte.
Yeah. Right, I got that. I sent
So
it.
you need a person to be a secretary, is that the?
That's someone who's been helping him.
Well, I think he needs help. I think he needs, you.
No, they've been doing one. I mean, we've been thinking around, different things about
How many
personnel in the office.
citations a month are we talking about?
Is it a lot? I don't know.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head.
I mean,
Okay.
just order of magnitude, 10?
More than that, I think. I think
100?
Ken was here, it was 18, it seemed to me.
Yeah.
Violation. 18 violations, yeah, citations. Yeah.
A system that is transparent of what's going on.
Isn't there any paperwork associated?
Of course there's paperwork. By law, there's paperwork. But
Okay.
It's a question of, organizing and personnel.
Timeliness and
Something that we're actively working on.
Is Julia's sort of a good head at that stuff?
Absolutely. She basically was an assistant in the zoning office when she worked in Toby.
So there you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got, we're getting our house in order, I'm not gonna name names or denigrate anybody, but, things in the past were not done right. So, I mean, in the last 2 years, it's been a lot of cleanup, but I think that things are getting better, particularly with anything new that's going on. It's getting scanned into our database with Trino, which is great, and when Ken issues, permit copies, do go in there. We have someone corresponding, because Ken is also now in alternate SEO, so.
Yeah.
Like Robert alluded to, we have a staff member that helps, do the invoices, because we have to, we can't just bill them if you had a new permit, we bill at the real hourly rate of whomever's working on it. So we're not going to, I think Scott Brown, his rate is probably $90 or $95 an hour. So we're from Hanover, so we're not gonna be able to bill someone the same amount for Ken. That'd be fraud, because he doesn't get paid that much, and you have to factor in the cost of education and all that. So we're having a staff member that's processing that and assisting with the correspondence now. I imagine as time goes on, that's only gonna grow. It's something that's actively being worked on. Now that we're not actively putting out 7 fires with 7 different zoning ordinances being considered simultaneously, we're able to dedicate more time to that. Part of the problem is there's been so much that's been done to clean everything up that it's been difficult.
Tell me about it.
At best.
Okay.
But we're getting to it.
You do need to hire somebody else with him, though. I think it's too much for probably too much for 1.5 people, really.
I think we really need 2 more people.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
And look at where we started from. When I came in here, which is what, 7 years ago? This place, many ways resembled Mayberry RFD. Remember that show? Television?
And the Andy Griffith Show, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a slow transition, trying to, upgrade it. And part of what's going on is, the township is just a much more active place maybe than it ever was. And it's, I think that the questions and problems are much more broadly based. This used to be, whatever was interesting to Shawnee on Delaware was what got done, and nothing else did. Nobody else mattered, and I think that's all changed.
I would
I watched the supervisors vote on buying toaster ovens for the kids. Now, we're not doing that type of stuff.
Well, I got one for you. What about the what is the hell's that motel down, the thing that just developed?
The motor lottery.
Huh?
The motor launch?
Yeah, the Boom. Yeah, which is a residential place now. So it's, yes, effectively, yeah.
No,
They almost all are. The old motels are now
Yeah.
residences.
Paramount, I think.
SROs,
Like apartments.
single room occupancies.
Problems. All I can say about this, the room place across the street,
Yeah,
Thank God it doesn't look like it did, you know?
Yeah, well,
It may be in violation.
it looks like rats live there, now it looks
We
like
tried,
a little
but
bug rats.
we lost our case.
Okay, sorry.
So, just a question, which has been answered before, but I don't understand the answer. Why are the citations and the violations not a matter of public record?
They are a matter of public record. Search through, you would know better than I, is it the state
What, the
or
UJS
county civil
ones?
tract? Yeah, it's UJS where this stuff would,
Yeah. But then, yeah,
What, like C-Track, you mean?
no, it's the UJS one.
yeah.
You can, but it's not necessarily by township, it's only by names. And, yeah, I mean, that doesn't really help us, because if you go for, you start looking, if you're gonna pull them all for the
The only way
county.
we're gonna get it is if we get it from county.
Yeah, it's just a simple list would be the best, I mean, that's, well,
We've talked about.
I don't know what's so hard, but we don't hire them, so.
That we can't get a list, and Ron said you really can't see that list,
No, you can see the list.
and
You can go into Ken's office and find it. We'll all have access to the citizens to Ken's office.
What I may have said, and perhaps I was not clear, that if someone makes a request for investigative
It's the investigative part,
materials,
that's.
they cannot be disclosed.
Right.
No, once it's filed, it's
I
it's
understand
open.
that, but once there's a citation or violation,
You can reveal the imposition of a fine or penalty, I'm looking right from the statute, the suspension, modification, revocation of a license, permit, registration, certification, or similar authorization issued by an agency. So you can get that information if you make the request. Now, again, you as planning commissioners, I don't think they right to know request to go get information.
Yeah.
I think you can go into the office and say, I'd like to see this or that, but there are some townships and boroughs whom I represent that say, no, everyone has to file a right to know request. You're not just gonna walk in and ask for stuff. We don't care if you're a supervisor, we don't care if you're a borough councilman. If you wanna see something, file a right to know request. So, every place does things differently. I think that's a bit draconian. Again, if you're an elected official, you're elected in order to run and operate and do things. I would think that you would be able to look at that information without having to jump through some hoop, I would think.
Well, what's the ultimate reason that we want it? We want it so that we can help the township get enforcement, keep enforcement moving forward. So when we see something that's not right, we can try to make the township better. That's the whole
We can
goal
help
here.
you in the eyes and ears, in other words, is what Dave's saying, right?
Mhm.
We drive along Bridges Road, and there's a light that's so bright in your eyes, you can't see it.
Yeah, we've done that.
We've done it.
Many times,
Many times. And we can continue to do it. I'd just like to know what happens when those comments hit the board. Do they go to Ken? Does Ken resolve them? And what happens when?
Well, we've talked about this for 6 months or but
Yeah.
more. How do we move it to the next square in the peg?
It's them, because they're the ones that Ken works for.
Are the lights still as bright as KP's place?
Oh.
That's what we're talking
Well,
about.
let me get,
Well, that's just an
no,
example.
let me get to the broader topic, that's the JBAS. I mean, I don't wanna leave you with, we're working on it because that's the case of Ken down the road, but the reality is, I don't have an exact timeline, dealing with the other personnel issues we're dealing with at the moment, we're actively working. Part of it has been, like you said, simply getting the timeline straight on things. But another part of it is just, relevance and that plays a, factor. I would not think that it's something that, a responsibility we're advocating, but it's also something that, isn't overnight. I think, inquisitions like this are helpful, but I don't think that, broadening.
if we start real small, like you just asked Ken to report the number of citations and violations in the last 30 days. And that can't take a lot of time. Now, I'm just trying to get an understanding of the order of magnitude of the problem. So, if you just start mean, that's a pretty simple thing. You write a citation, you put a hash mark on a piece of paper. At the end of the month,
You know, this
count
all
'em up.
comes down to us getting frustrated. We make recommendations, and nothing ever seems to happen. We're trying to manage the manager is what we're doing here. We want to manage you to manage him.
Right.
That's the essence of what we're trying to do. So we want to get feedback from him so that we can say, well, why aren't you going after this that was brought up? And you've gone after him, why aren't we pursuing it?
Right.
That's really what we want to do.
No, I understand that insofar as the Board of Supervisors, but again, the Planning Commission does not have oversight over, it has oversight over zoning planning, you know, but it does not have oversight over the zoning officer. I mean,
Agreed, we don't.
Right, but we're taking up your recommendation. I think we've made a lot of progress over the last couple months.
But we haven't seen any progress. We haven't seen anything.
Well, we're getting reports from you guys.
Well, I think that's a plus, but I also think, you know, as simple as keeping the minutes better, and, you know, had we had a hearing on the planned residential development, last night, you would have heard about that. And the other thing that you made recommendations on in the last several months, they've all been tabled. They're all still on your desk.
What we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about
No,
violations.
I understand that, but again, it's not something that, it's a nice thing to do, we're working on it, but it's not something that's required.
It's not required, but we're trying to work together. We're trying to make the township better.
I understand and appreciate that very much, but,
Obviously have to prioritize your workload.
but that's
Yeah.
something.
So what's your hesitation? Why do you not want to pursue this?
I'm not saying I haven't said the words, I don't want to pursue.
But you're certainly acting and talking as though you're saying, well, we're working on it. You're not giving us a definitive answer as to why we're not able to get the information we want.
I'll try to answer that. I just think there's so much work around pushing through wherever we can to do this kind of stuff. But it's not easy.
We wanna help you do the work.
I know.
Okay, so just take a simple example. You said there's paperwork, so there's gotta be a piece of paper that says, I cited for this, right? How about if you just take a manila folder and put a copy of all of those in that manila folder?
Somebody's gotta fill it out.
Well, Ken fills it out
He has to be
anyway
doing
because it's a
something.
citation.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I agree with you.
I mean, that takes no time.
I spend much of my days tracing down things that should have been done that haven't been done. The one, person here or another, and it's just one, it's like, did this get done, this get done, this get done. Jacob does the same thing. And if we can get above that, then we get to the level of, okay, let's do a different system here so we can see citations, so we can do this. It's not work. It's trying to prioritize what has to be done first here. And it's just endless and endless.
Cleaning up decades, I mean, there are minutes that weren't even kept properly. You know, like, we're solving that stuff, so I'm not saying this is all the way on the back burner, it's getting done, like I said, we're working on that database, you know, minutes are, you know, up, the format that you want is happening now. So, historically, we haven't talked to any other minutes, but historically, we don't know of many examples where the planning commission has that much of a role with the zoning office.
Actually, Ron just gave us like 4 of them, he says that he works for. When you're here. Did you say, Ron, WinCap does it, right? They just give a simple X number of whatever.
I give a written report
Yeah.
every month to the supervisors of the work that I've done that month. For Zetto, the zoning officer says, here are the permits I issued, here are the inspections that were done.
Yeah.
Does not necessarily get into violations, though, that he doesn't do, but, you know, here are the inspections, this is what I did, this is the permits that were issued, 2 swimming pool permits or whatever.
Yeah.
WinGap does the same thing.
Right.
Mount Bethel, catch cat, because they're always fighting with someone there.
Yeah, they're always fighting.
Does that go to the planning commission?
It just goes with the supervisors, and the supervisors folder, meeting folder. I can't say it goes to the planning commission, but it could, I don't see why you could not.
I'm not saying, no, I'm just saying there's a lot of administrative backend that's gotta be caught up before this can become a universal practice. It's not a no, it's just not tomorrow or next week. But, you know, it's something that we're actively working on. I mean, I'm not gonna talk about the details, I'm sure everybody here got Facebook, but we're dealing with a lot that's going on with, personnel in the township, and, we have to get that in order before we can.
What does that have to do with Facebook? What you want, what we want.
Yeah, we want to do it right, we do.
We want the same thing.
Do you need a separate manager? Does the township need a separate manager, so you guys aren't handling the day-to-day?
No,
Do it as is.
Eventually, she's good. She's fantastic, and without her, you could get away, a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I'd like to just reiterate something, just so, because I always like to go to the root of what we're trying to accomplish. And, we've vocalized this before, where we sit on this planning commission, and we go through a lot of effort to get something the way we want it, and meets the ordinance and all. And I'm gonna use that cigar store as an example, or cigarette store.
Mm-hmm.
We spend a lot of time on that, and we have conditions, and we have these things that have to be done, and then they go and they do whatever they want, and we're thinking, well, what the hell are we sitting here wasting our evenings for if it's gonna end up being that way? So we ask, then why aren't you enforcing the plan? The lighting, it's still horrible.
It is still horrible.
It's still horrible. All they did was angle them down.
Both of them are horrible.
Truck's still there.
So that is
No.
the root of our frustration. So if you could give us some feedback on what Ken's doing to enforce the plan and other violations that we don't necessarily see, like Boom Motor Lodge. I mean, they've got glaring lights there too. And I know I keep picking on lights, but there's other things that come up that we don't see as we drive down the road at night. That's my personal root of my frustration. And our way of trying to get that is to say, give us information as to what the zoning officer's doing, so we can say, well, why isn't he looking at this? That's what we're trying to do.
I feel the same way. When I wanna get a question answered, I call them up, get the answer. The only way I can do it. That's frustrating to me, right? Like, something written down, like you would say, this is what I did, this. I don't have it.
Accountability is what you want.
Well, that needs to happen, because you need to have documentation of what's going on. It can't be his word against their word. It needs to happen.
No, and he documents, like Ron, talked about investigative material, that does indeed happen. And I sat here with him to set up a Zoom with him with the MDJ, because they're still not doing in-person hearings.
Brian still isn't doing in-person hearings?
No, I suppose some others are, but
Everyone.
I know that.
All of them.
I know that he.
I'm going to one tomorrow in Tobyhanna for an eviction, all of them. Traveline's up there, Danielle Traveline's
The
up there.
sign issue that came up at the supervisors, did that go through the court, or? The only reason I know about that is because the guy came in and complained that he was being fined so many thousands of dollars a day.
Depending on the offense, it'll go, an enforcement notice first, and then, if that's not answered or rectified, then it'll go to this.
And where would?
This was at the enforcement.
He just got the notice. It didn't actually,
So Ken writes an enforcement notice, doesn't have to go to the magistrate.
well, no, then the next step is then if they don't agree and they don't then it gets, then the homeowner can.
Right, that's their chance to
Yeah.
say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna, that's their chance to fix it.
Yeah.
They usually get 30 days from the notice.
Yeah.
Does everybody get that notice of being fined?
Yes, you have to get that. You can't go to any steps beyond that.
Right.
So that happens first.
Well, I will say, Jacob, you certainly have seemed to have learned a lot in your short tenure here.
Yeah, that's short,
You're talking like you know stuff, so that's good.
Well, I appreciate that. It's not what ethics work for, and, there's a lot of change that's taking place, but I think that, just as a, closing note from me, as far as the township goes, what we're doing, an enormous opportunity. I think we had enormous opportunity before COVID, but, as more people have moved here and more, money has surrounded us for different causes, we have a chance to take the ball and really keep running with it. I think that, is extremely bright, and it's because of, the planning work that's done here. And it's also because a lot of it's practical. The money that's being put in here, the money that we have from the federal government now, our plans are to use it for sustainable purposes that don't necessarily require that level of funding. $800,000 from the federal government, from the American Rescue Plan Act, that's not going into one-time things, that's going into developing practices that can be shovel-ready and that are going to be returned, everyone talks about that. We're hiring a sixth person, potentially even a seventh person, road crew to manage 54 miles in the township. We're investing that in more bidded projects, we talked about using other trucks for the crew because that material, all that stuff fits into, the practicality of what's going on, and, there's no doubt this, the broader topics we've been going to be part of that, and, I'm happy to have the level of collaboration that we do, but I think it's gonna expand too. I think that, we've made a lot of progress in 2 years, at least that's what I've been here, we've covered. I think that in science, that progress doubles each year, and that's the way I see things going. So I think that the work that we're doing now together is going to pay dividends. But this is by no means a end to. It starts here.
This is a long process. It's logging through mud trying to get where we're efficient. When you have a problem, whether it's lights or anything, let me know, because then I'll call Ken, and I'll try to get an explanation. I'll let you know what the explanation is. At least that's something.
That's worked in the past. I have to say, that has worked in the past.
Yeah.
In some cases, rare.
But at least it's a
Every
direct.
occasion where I've talked to Robert.
Yeah.
I mean, I mentioned this T-Mobile thing. How many phone calls did I have to make sure that somehow this woman got her permit? It was endless. Permit for some generator on a pole or something.
Right.
Nobody answers answers the phone.
You'll owe some $800,000 and either get a replacement or get a second person. You're not kidding.
Anyway, let me know. At least I can give you a fast answer.
I've let lawyers in my office go. I don't.
And do we still have a third commissioner?
Have a what?
A third supervisor?
How is our brother Brian?
If you want to adjourn, I'm happy to talk about what.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.